Today saw the passing of retired Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. First appointed to the bench in 1981 by Republican President Ronald Reagan, O'Connor was the first woman to sit on the High Court, where she was viewed as a voice of moderation, caution, and pragmatism. Although she was appointed by a Republican, O'Connor broke with her conservative roots and her personal views to uphold the right to an abortion in the 1992 case Planned Parenthood versus Casey. She also cast the deciding vote to defend affirmative action in 2003's Grutter versus Bollinger. One of her former law clerks described her today as, quote, a stabilizing force in American society, someone who was extremely hesitant about overturning precedents because such decisions jolted the legal system. O'Connor's passing really does mark the end of an era at the court, an era where the court seemed more cautious, moderate, and attentive to public mood on hot-button issues. Now, we have a Supreme Court that, in just the last 2 years, has laid waste to precedent, dismantling affirmative action and abortion rights. And this term, the court may deliver another punishing blow to the foundations of American life and government. A series of cases that have flown completely under the radar have the potential to hobble the federal government's authority to regulate markets, the economy, and natural resources, just to name a few. This week, the court heard oral arguments in a case known as the Securities and Exchange Commission versus Jharkhasi. The details of the case are wonky, but its implications are not. The plaintiff is a Republican activist and conservative radio show host who's challenging an SEC penalty for allegedly misleading investors in a financial scheme. The specific issue in the case is whether independent judges within the SEC can determine whether Jharkhasi violated the law and punish him accordingly. But the issue calls into question the broader question of whether government agencies have broad powers to do, well, anything. Things like issue fines, enforce workplace safety rules, all the stuff that government regulators routinely do. If the conservative justices side with Mr. Jharkhasi, and it seems that they will, it would make it considerably more difficult for the federal government to punish financial fraudsters, enforce environmental law, or ensure that businesses keep their workers safe. And all of this is part of the conservatives' war against government regulation and the so-called administrative state. The man most responsible for the court's current conservative makeup is this guy, Federalist Society co-chairman Leonard Leo, the man who handpicked Donald Trump's ultra-conservative Supreme Court nominees. Leonard Leo is a longtime critic of the administrative state and government regulation. Just take a listen to what Leo told a gathering of conservatives just after Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation about where he believed the Supreme Court would be headed.
I think one area that you're going to see an increasing amount of attention is with regard to the proper role of the administrative state, the regulatory bureaucracy. Look, you have to understand what motivates the hard left. They would much prefer have limitless delegations of authority to the administrative state and to bureaucrats who are unelected so that basically they can create the kind of social safety net, regulatory net that they want.
Leonard Leo really wants to destroy American government's authority to regulate, and particularly to regulate corporate interests, which is why it is unsurprising that the Jharkhasi case was brought with the help of several right-wing billionaires with deep ties to, wait for it, Leonard Leo. And while America's regulatory powers may not feel as big and important as affirmative action or the right to bodily autonomy, make no mistake about it, federal regulation affects everything. The security of your retirement savings, the safety of the food you eat and the water you drink, the purity of the air that you breathe. And this court has shown a willingness to drastically alter American society, no matter the consequences.